Good evening, everyone. It's October 22nd, 2025, and it's 6 p.m. And at this time, I'm going to be calling the Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee meeting to order. This meeting is being live broadcast on Comcast 96 and Frontier 6032. It will also be streamed on HPA-TV.org, HPA-TV Facebook page, and through HPA-TV's Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. The meeting will also be rebroadcast on HPA and available on HPA-TV's YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Tonight, I have with me voting member Councilman Alex Thomas. I have the Public Works Director Christopher Hayes, Riverfront Recapture President and CEO Mike Zaleski. I also saw that we have Julia Jack here, Director of Capital Projects, and I think that is everyone. The first item on the agenda tonight is item 2.1, Mayor Aru Lampalam with accompanying resolution confirming the appointment of Dawn Merritt to the Hartford Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. And Dawn, if you're on here, we give you the floor. Okay, it does not seem like she is on. Certainly happy to move to the next item until she can get on. That would be item 2.2. Mayor Avalampalam with accompanying resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant in the amount of $636,000 to $205 for the repair and replacement of docks at 2 Connecticut River locations, Riverside Park and Mortensen Plaza during 2025-2026. And I believe that Mike Zaleski will be speaking to this item. You now have the floor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bilodeau. We appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about this important project for not just the Riverfront Park system, but the city and the Connecticut River and the greater Hartford region. As you know, our riverfront parks are very popular for lots of different reasons. We attract almost 1 million people per year to our riverfront parks for our events, programs, and other activities. This is a project that we were very excited to partner with the city of Hartford to bring in this grant funding from the Connecticut Port Authority. This is a program called the Small Harbor Improvement Project. It was something that was recommended to us by Chris Hayes, the Director of Public Works, as an opportunity that came through the city. It is something that numerous city representatives have assisted Riverfront Recapture with in applying for this important grant. And we're really interested in moving this forward as quickly as possible because we see the opportunity to replace and repair the docks in Riverside Park and Mortensen Riverfront Plaza. With me this evening, I've got Mark Nicole, who is our Director of Park Planning and Development, as well as Martha Knaley, who's a Park Development Manager with Riverfront Recapture. Mark and Martha have done the lion's share of the work on this grant application, and we are looking forward to the city receiving these funds so that we can continue the work to replace these dollars. I just want to underscore the partnership that we've had with the city and continue to have between Chris and Julia and planning and the flood commission. Everybody's been really supportive of what we've tried to do in replacing these docks. These docks are, I'll let Mark get into the details, but we're going on 2+ decades with this dock system, and they are used in a variety of different ways, whether it's our riverfront rowing program, or dragon boat program, or just regular vessels along the Connecticut River. It's an opportunity to take advantage of some critical funding to be able to leverage private funding that we've raised to replace these docks. Mark, would you be interested in sharing some additional details with the councilman?
I think you did a really great job of covering it, Mike. And yeah, this was a joint venture between Riverfront Recapture and the city of Hartford. We worked with the various city staff to pull this together. We were very fortunate to be awarded the funding. The contract's there to the city, and once it's executed, we can get a project agreement between Riverfront and the city that clearly spells out each party's responsibilities as we move this project forward. So again, as you said, Mike, it's a really great thing for the city. The existing floating dock infrastructure is old. Our downtown docks were Mortenson Riverfront Plaza. They were installed in 2000, and depending on which docks you're talking about at Riverside Park, anywhere from I think possibly even 1999, 2006, 2007. So it's a pretty old infrastructure, and it's well beyond its expected lifespan. So just looking forward to moving the project forward.
Thank you both so much. So I heard you say that some private dollars were raised. How much was the total cost of the entire project? If you have that number.
Well, I can share with you, Kelly, that Riverfront Recapture's already spent a little over $50,000 in this project already. That's primarily in the initial engineering, design, permitting work, some miscellaneous studies that were done in subaquatic vegetation, mussel studies, permitting, blah, 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 blah. We anticipate we'll need about another $160,000 to make the match for the Connecticut Port Authority's Small Harbor Improvement Project Program grant. It's an 80-20 grant. So the city was awarded 636, so that leaves a $159,000 contribution that goes along with it. Riverfront Recapture has a majority of that money secured, and we just again need to get a contract signed between the city and the Port Authority, and then a project agreement between Riverfront and the city that outlines each party's responsibilities.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Councilman Thomas, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for the quick presentation, and I'm happy for us to get those funds.
Excellent. So, what we're gonna do here, because I don't believe I have an attorney on, so unless we move items around through motions, we shouldn't vote on them out of order. So I see that Dawn Merritt just signed on. What we'll do is have her speak in a moment to item 2.1, and then we will move on the action of each items in the order that they are placed on the agenda from there. But thank you so much to Riverfront Recapture for all the work that you've done and for being here with us tonight and explaining to the community the good work that you're doing to continue safe access to the river. We really appreciate that partnership.
Thank you.
Okay, Dawn, if you are on, you now have the floor to speak to your appointment. And tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the PRAC Commission.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a transplant from New York, actually Dobbs Ferry, Westchester, which is a community, well, a city that's shares a community with the state of Connecticut. I came up here as a COVID transplant, actually. My daughter went to school here at UConn. Um, and ever since then, I've been a lover of downtown Hartford, Connecticut. I'm in love with this historic community itself, its parks. When I first came here 5 years ago, getting off of Amtrak, I actually bumped into someone who used to be the Bushnell president, which was Mary. And I felt, as I told her, I said, this reminds me of my park, Central Park, and another park, New York Botanical Gardens, that I had the privilege of volunteering my studentship for 4 years. So I just said to myself, how could I be a pillar of this community and do something that I so compassionately love as I did when I lived in New York. I was a community resident, part of that community, and I look to be, and I feel that I am part of this community also. I'm in the parks every day, 3 times a day. I do have, if not four, I do have a Weimaraner, a a German hunting dog that loves the parks. He's very familiar with all the police officers and everyone else there in the park. So, which me for myself, I've beginning to I know this park. I know everything about this park, everything about my community that I think that I've been here for 4 years, and I've grown to love it. It's my second space outside of my apartment here, being downtown as community. I live right here on Trumbull Street, right next to the Waxford Park that I've grown to love, regardless of the graffiti. The graffiti is part of its urban ecosystem, I would say. So I'm looking to bring that back to the community as far as the park that's next door that needs to be loved again. It's there. The residents are looking forward to it to be open again, to sit there and enjoy the butterflies, the bees, everything that that park used to have. But it's still there. It just needs a little love, like any other park that's here. So I'm looking to take the city's policies and procedures that they're looking for people like myself to become stewardess and passionate about that thing that they love so much, which is the Parks Department. And that's it. I know that's a lot. I'm sorry.
That's great. Thank you so much. And as I say to many of the appointees that or to all appointees, we're so grateful that you're willing to serve and that you've stepped up to do so. And I know you and I have met a few times. We definitely have talked about the parks and your love for the parks. So really appreciate you, taking the time to volunteer in these efforts. And I see also that I'd like to announce that Councilman John Gale is now on the meeting, who's a voting member. So I will give Councilman Gale opportunity to ask questions to first Dawn, if he has any, and also Councilman Thomas, you can also ask Dawn any questions that you might have, and then we will go back to the Riverfront folks in case Councilman Gale has any questions.
Thank you, Chair, and my apologies for my late arrival here. Sounds like you've conducted a lot of business already. And let me just say to Ms. Merritt, I love the passion. Anybody that comes before us and talks as passionately as you have, certainly to be complimented. Let me just add one thing to what the chair mentioned. We're all very appreciative of folks in the community who volunteer their time to serve on these very important commissions. And if you determine when you're on the commission that council could be of any assistance to the commission's business, don't hesitate to reach back out. It may be that you need some council action to advance the agenda of the Parks and Rec Commission, and that's what we're here for. So thank you again. Those are my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council Gale. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Gale. Councilman Thomas, do you have any questions or comments?
No, just kind of wanted to, well, first and foremost, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say I appreciate you, Ms. Dawn, for stepping
Thank you.
up and wanting to volunteer. And I echo Councilman Gale's comments that you're talking our language when you speak about passion for the city. And I enjoyed you talking about Bushnell Park. And it's interesting that you talked about Central because Olmsted designed both those parks. So he designed Central and Bushnell Park. And
Yes.
so it's just nice that you're kind of able to have your own little Central Park here in Hartford. And we're happy to have you on the team. And I am looking forward to some of the things that you do on the commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. So to keep our items in order, I'll now entertain a motion on this item 2.1.
I make a motion to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on the item? Hearing none, motion has been made and properly seconded to send this item back to the full council with favorable recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no one's opposed, this item will go back favorably to the full council for approval. Thank you so much. Councilman Gale, you have joined us and we have already heard a presentation from Riverfront, but I open the floor for any questions or comments, or if you'd like them to speak to the subject matter again, we can do that as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. I would like to ask a couple of questions, some of which are related, some of which may be tangentially related. One of the things that I'm interested to see that we're going to be upgrading the docks. One of the things that I have recently become somewhat aware of, although have certainly had a past history of working with larger boats coming to Hartford. Back in the 90s, we had a boat here called the Mark Twain that I think was about a 500 passenger riverboat that docked up at the Mortenson landing. And then the Mystique has been here off and on since that time. We don't presently have any large boats that are coming to Hartford, but I'm certainly assuming that the repairs that we're anticipating, especially at Mortenson, are designed so that we could have these larger boats docking here. Am I correct in that?
So thank you, Councilman. I'm going to let Mark talk to the details as he's the engineer. But I would simply say that we've always had to make accommodations for some of the larger vessels that have visited, whether it's the Onrust or the Nina and the Pinta or the Lady Catherine or the variety of different boats that over the past 20 years or so have visited Mortenson Riverfront Plaza and downtown. We've always had to figure out ways to modify the space to be able to accommodate that traffic. As you know, not every vessel is the same. They have different ways to enter and exit the boat. The drafts are different. And what we are trying to do in replacing these docks is address some of our current issues and make them as accessible as possible. It's not just the docks down there. We have power issues. We have some lighting issues. We have some infrastructure issues that we're going to be addressing as we move forward. But I mean, the goal ultimately is to continue to make it as accessible as possible to all sorts of different boats. Mark, you want to build on that?
Yeah, I guess the thing I would add here is that we will be lowering the freeboard of the floating docks so that they are more applicable to a larger range of boaters. One of the common complaints that we've had is that they're too tall because they work well for commercial boats. They don't really work well for other boats. And as you mentioned, Councilman Gale, that we don't have any big boats here on the river right now, but we certainly still do have smaller boats that come up. We run our dragon boat races. We have our own activities. So docks with a slightly lesser freeboard would be better for the facility. As Mike mentioned, every boat that's come to Hartford is a little bit different in its architecture, and we always end up building some kind of stairs or ramps to, provide safe boarding from the docks and onto the boats. So I assume we're going to continue to do that. So having a slightly lower freeboard won't have an impact from that perspective. They will be more than likely the same exact footprint that we have today. If we were to try to change that in any kind of significant way, it would cause us to go into a full-blown permitting process with DEEP and Army Corps and there's a real expense to that, and I don't know if it's necessary. But for the most part, what we have out there today is going to be repeated as far as its layout goes, and it'll have just a lower freeboard.
Well, glad to hear that we're going to continue to accommodate, and glad to hear that we're going to accommodate smaller boats. As someone who has a smaller boat and who is tied up there frequently, would love to see that. I will tell you that I recently had the opportunity to take a riverboat cruise on the Mississippi River. I went from New Orleans to Memphis on something called the American Cruise Line. And it turns out that, this is becoming a big business. I don't know that the American Cruise Line had any ships on the Mississippi River 20 years ago. But now I think twice a week, there's a boat leaving from New Orleans that goes to Memphis, and there's a boat leaving Memphis that goes back to New Orleans. These boats are smaller passenger boats. I think our boat held 150 passengers, so not terribly large. And my interest has always been in making our river something of a tourist destination and an economic driver for the city of Hartford. So here's something interesting for you. American Cruise Lines, which operated the boat that I took, is headquartered in Guilford, Connecticut. And American Cruise Lines currently is running other cruises all over New England. So they have boats that are going from Boston to Martha's Vineyard to Nantucket and Providence and probably Newport, I think maybe even New London, but they don't have anything that comes up the Connecticut River. So I want to mention that by way of encouraging you folks to, keep that in mind and see what you can do, making sure they know we have a dock that could easily accommodate them. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we could get a cruise ship coming up here once a week, once every 2 weeks with some people that want to come and spend some time in Mark Twain's hometown here. Kind of switching gears into something a little bit along the same lines, but a little bit different. We did have a tour boat that was operating, and he's still operating, but he's just not operating out of Hartford anymore. For years we had all kinds of little tour boats operating out of Hartford, but I don't think we have anything right now. And I know in speaking to the operator, Bill Kite, Bill is operating his tour boats, and he's going Glastonbury, Rocky Hill, Wethersfield, but they're completely missing Hartford. This seems like a lost opportunity. Bill had complained specifically to me at some point in time that part of his problem with Hartford were insurance requirements. I don't know what that's about, and I don't know what you could do about it, but talk to me. Why can't we get another little tour boat operating out of one of these docks that we're now going to spend $750,000 upgrading?
So thank you for the question. It is there are a couple of tour boats. When you say tour boats, I mean, I assume you're referring to the 16 to 18 passenger pontoon boats that are operating out of Wethersfield Cove. I believe there's two, Captain Bill and Captain Morgan. These are smaller operations than maybe we saw with certainly smaller than the Lady Catherine from many years ago. And the name's escaping me. Mark, was it Captain? The other Mark Twain name.
The Hartford Bell.
The Hartford Bell. Thank you, Director Hayes. The Hartford Bell that operated out of Hartford for a while there, back in the sort of 2012, 13, 14 range. We use the city insurance regulations. We require of anybody who's operating out of the Hartford Park system to provide the appropriate insurance, similar to the way when we work with event producers, we use the city's regulations for insurance requirements. So that may be something. We actually have a relationship with Captain Bill, and he operates out of Hartford. So I would include Hartford in that list of Rocky Hill, Weathersfield. Not quite sure whether he goes out of Glastonbury, because I know they can be a little bit challenging. But he does. We have an annual contract with Captain Bill that allows for him to operate out of Mortenson Riverfront Plaza. Now, not the downtown park is a little bit more challenging when you're talking about a group of 15 or 16, because some of these other places like Weathersfield Cove, you can drive directly up to. So if you've got a group that's coming to do an evening cruise, sometimes it's easier for those individuals to drive to Weathersfield Cove. That being said, I know there have been cruises that have taken place out of the plaza, out of the Mortenson Riverfront Plaza in downtown, with groups that are either live downtown or are downtown for a particular reason. We have used Captain Bill on a fairly regular basis at our food truck festival to get people out onto the river. One of the goals of our organization it's one of my personal goals, is to get more people physically out onto the water. Don't think you can find a better view of the downtown skyline than from the water. So encouraging more opportunities like Captain Bill to be able to pick people up and take them on. It doesn't have to be long. It can be a 15, 20-minute trek up and down the river, but you get to see the city from a different angle. So continue to look for ways to work with Captain Bill and other operators. It's not, our Mortenson Riverfront Plaza is a beautiful park, but it certainly has its challenges in getting to it. It's part of the reason Riverfront Recapture is in business, and what we are is because we had to reconcile the getting from the downtown across the highway to the river and the new park space.
No, and it's certainly been a great improvement over the last 50 years, no question about it. Glad to hear. I'm just adding my voice so you hear it. That I want you to do whatever you can to get these things going. And if you run into roadblocks, my statement to our planning and zoning folks and our planning department is, look, if somebody comes to Hartford and they want to spend $1 bill, roll the red carpet out, for goodness sakes. So if somebody comes and approaches you and you run into an impediment, come see council. Maybe we can do something about it. Come see the mayor. I mean, we need these things. We want these things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want you to lose track of Charter Oak Landing. You've got a great cute gazebo at Charter Oak Landing. You got a little dock there that's very suitable for the type of tour boat that Bill Kite uses, and you've got parking for 100 cars. I mean, we ran cruises out of there for 8-9 years, 5 nights a week, and people were happy to come down there. So
yes,
we'd love to see some of those things come back. I know you've put some good infrastructure down there with electricity. I know I've encouraged you to think about using Charter Oak Landing for food trucks. Just yesterday, I drove to New Haven. My God, the food truck business in the New Haven waterfront is unbelievable at this point. Could we do that at Charter Oak Landing on a Friday night all summer long, on a Saturday night all summer long? Things that can be developed. So I kind of throw them out there for you. I don't know what's going on with Charter Oak at this point.
There's actually a lot going on with Charter Oak Landing. Of the 3 riverfront parks on the Hartford side of the river, it is the park that gets the most neighborhood traffic. It's much more family oriented than maybe the downtown park or Riverside Park. It is fairly accessible from the the boat launch is one of the more popular boat launches that we have. It has its challenges. It has taken a beating. We were fortunate to get a $1 million grant from Congressman Larson through the city to be able to make some improvements to the infrastructure there. That includes, well, it's a variety of different things, but but making improvements and replacing portions of the wharf there, the dock that you talk about is it's at a bend in the river where it takes on a fairly it's a challenging part of the river, and we've seen a lot of flood damage over the years. So it's something. It's a please do not. We're not forgetting about Charter Oak Landing. We're actually have some fairly decent plans to make some infrastructure improvements there. We actually just recently used some Marfuji Parks Fund dollars to put in a gate at a critical intersection along the entrance that will allow for the park to remain open during certain stages of flooding. In the past, if the park would any kind of flooding would close the park. This new gate will allow us to keep the upper section of the park open when we get to, Mark, help me, what's that, 12, elevation 12, 14? There's at some point, the last couple of years we're seeing less of one spring flood that goes to elevation 19 or 20, and we're seeing 4 and 5 floods that go to elevation 12 and then 14 and then back to 9 and then to 15. The installation of this gate will allow for that park to remain open more often when we get those floods that are maybe below 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, Mike, yeah, you're spot on. That upper part of Charter Oak Landing is above elevation 25. So even during a typical spring freshet, which we haven't seen in a while, but if that were to go to elevation 20, that upper part of Charter Oak Landing could remain open to park visitors while we have the lower part closed and cordoned off to people and vehicles.
So the food trucks could be there nonstop.
So
not be affected.
Oh no! Listen, we've got we've experimented with food trucks down there. It's some of it's the chicken and the egg. How do you get the traffic there for the food trucks, or do you put the food trucks there first and then have the traffic? Or it's a challenging element. I share the allure of the New Haven food trucks that are right along the highway there that have, they've got probably 20, 25 food trucks out there on a regular basis. Very visible, very essentially located, but they've also built that business, over the course of many, 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 many years. It is, it's something that, we'd love to have more traffic down there during the lunchtime. The food trucks got to be able to make money for them to continue to be there.
Well, it can start with 2 or 3, and I'm willing to bet you can find 2 or 3 operators who are willing to give it a shot. But anyway, keep working on it. Keep working on it. Last comment, if I may, Madam Chair, just in the dreaming big, which nobody's accused me of not doing in the past. Throwing out 2 ideas for you, one of which is not new. You've heard it before. You've probably heard it from me before, but I always like to continue to try to keep it in the public's mind. Not that we have an administration in Washington that's going to be willing to send a lot of money over to Connecticut and Massachusetts, but someday it would be wonderful if we could get enough money to do a study on how to open up the Connecticut River to Springfield. And if we did that, that would certainly add more allure to the American Cruise Line and people like that to send a boat up to Hartford that could then go to Springfield and back. Obviously these things, in my experience, they start with a study. A study is a lot less costly than doing the actual project. But wouldn't it be nice if Larson and whoever it is in Massachusetts, who I think is a pretty high-ranking congressperson, could get us enough money for a study of that? And the last thing is,
I would, Councilman, if I could just address that briefly. A study probably is the right way to proceed. We actually just got finished with, in partnership with the city of Hartford and the town of Wethersfield, a feasibility study to extend the Riverwalk from Charter Oak Landing to Old Wethersfield. And And you're 100% correct. We now have a document that has very viable options and some pricing, and lays out the case for funding requests. So that's something that we're going to be working on. But you are correct. Until you have that document, that backup information that says that this is possible, or the economic impact, it's more challenging. So certainly something that under consideration. I thought you were going to say marina, John.
You know what? I'm not going to talk about the marina tonight, but we do need a marina here in Hartford, of course. But here's one for you. Many years ago, I sat down with Mark when we were talking about other development. We had that guy come and give us a presentation on the Aqua Arc, and you know, putting a floating restaurant downtown, and Mark explained to me. Something that we certainly know, the flooding, the you know, the river going up, the river coming down presents challenges. And I said, well, do we have a workaround for that? And Mark said, well, we did have some sort of a design where we were going to divert water from north of Hartford and send it through some sort of a tunnel through the city that would then have the ability, if I'm not mistaken, to at least keep the water downtown at some more tolerable level. So if you started, as I understood and Mark, you'll correct me, but as I understood the concept, it was if we start to get flooding, you open this tunnel gate up and you shunt the water to some degree and help to moderate then the height of the, well, in thinking about that the other day, and you may have factored all this in, but you know, we're running into an energy crisis, and we're looking around and we're seeing people all over the world and all over the country figuring out ways to develop energy from non-carbon sources. So you've got solar and wind and whatnot, but water is also a source of energy. And it just made me think about Mark's Tunnel. And if we really are having a gush of water coming through, wouldn't that be a source of also generating some electricity? So I just kind of plopped that one out there as something that could have a double benefit at some point in time, understanding that the cost might outweigh any of the benefit for quite some time. I see Director Hayes cracking up over there, but you know, if you don't think about these things, you're never going to right? If you don't throw them out there and at least throw them, you know, throw it up the air. What do they say? You know, see who salutes it, whatever. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion on the item.
Oh, it isn't moved back. I will move to send it back favorably then.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. The motion has been made and properly seconded to send this item back to the full council with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, this item will move back to the full council with a favorable recommendation. And I just want to say thank you for all those who spoke tonight and presented information to us, and all those who have been in attendance with us. I hope you all have a great evening, and I will now adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. Have a good night.
Good night.